Thank you. I'm Barbara Ballard, and I represent the 44th District. I have been honored for so many years to be elected by you to do that, and I've never taken it lightly. I think you know I serve on appropriations and social services, and all of those will be into play when we go back next week to work on the education. I'm also Associate Director at the Dole Institute of Politics at University of Kansas. I was recruited to come to University of Kansas in 1980 as the Director of the Emily Taylor Women's Resource Center and all the women's programs and services. I also teach for the School of Education and the Department of Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies. I think many of you know that I was on the school board for 8 years and served as president twice. So I will say to you, having served on the school board, I have firsthand knowledge of what's going on as far as our education dilemma that we have. I went back and thought about it for a little bit, and I want you to know that we have had a financial difficulty in education for as long as I can remember, especially once I was elected to the school board. In about 1990, we had, on the school board, we had to cut $1 million from the budget here, and people were shocked. We were all shocked that we had to cut. And it was a very, very difficult process to take $1 million out of a budget that had already been voted on. So I empathize with school board members now all over the state of Kansas, but especially here in Lawrence, of what that dilemma really is now, because they're facing a lot more money than that. They're facing the fact that they may not even be able to open their schools in so many areas all over the state. I would also just want you to know that the legislative process has worked for Democrats, and it works as long as we form relationships, that we form coalitions, which we have done with moderate Republicans. The biggest accomplishment I think we had this year was making sure that the governor did not get what he wanted, and that was to eliminate the merit process for the state Supreme Court justices. I don't want any of you to take that lightly. And I would say, don't take that lightly, because we think, oh, that's not a big deal. It's a huge deal, because without it, we would have no recourse anywhere else. That is why we're blaming the courts, the legislatures, about what they have done to us. No, it's not what the courts did, it's what we did in many ways. So having the experience being on the school board and have been in Lawrence since 1980, I was recruited, as I said, by the university to come here. It becomes extremely important that, number one, you care about what happens, what the passion is. And also, I kind of know the history of what happened all along the way. But what you should know mostly is that I think I have put my heart and soul into making sure that Douglas County was well represented, that the rest of the state was well represented, that we look at issues not just in Douglas County, but we have to look at what happens all around the state in all 105 counties. Because when we don't care about what happens in other people's counties, they can decide they don't care what happens in Douglas County. And that's what we always have to keep in mind. So when we go back next week, one of the things I will watch very carefully, as all of your Lawrence delegation, will be where we take the money from if they will just finally agree we need to do it. They cannot go to Children's Initiative Fund. That is our primary care for young people in this state. And we get about 58 million, and they only got 42. So we can't go in that area. But everything else is up for grabs as far as the money is concerned. Whether they look at transportation, whether they go to our emergency fund that went to the State Board of Education, all of those areas I have something to do with, because transportation, you know they always go there, and I'm on transportation. Social services, we have to leave social services alone too, because of home community-based services and everything else that happens. And then we have appropriations, which the budget is going to come to us eventually if we decide to do something. But we cannot blame other people for the dilemma that we're in. We can't blame the courts. We can't even blame the people that brought the lawsuits. We have to blame ourselves for not doing the work we should have done to make sure that education was protected. And that's why we're going back next week to see that that happens. Thank you so very much. And if you're thinking about supporting, make sure you support people running in Douglas County. I think we can go to other places and help as much as we can, but we certainly would like your help as well. Thank you very much.